I'm Bailey Wagner. I work in admissions here, and I also coach softball, and I'm an alumni. When I first enrolled in the Theology of Holiness class, honestly, I had taken religion classes before, so I was just like, it's just going to be something that I'm going to just kind of go through the motions, get my assignments done. But I really leaned into it, and I learned a lot. Life at that moment for me was pretty busy. I was taking a lot of classes. I was working full time, coaching softball, and I was also planning a wedding. So at that time I was pretty busy, and I was just planning on just getting through my class at that point. A moment in the class where something clicked for me was when I started reading the textbook provided for that class. It was very informal, and I felt like I could relate to it a lot better. It wasn't just, reading facts and, this is what theology is. It was more personal, and it took scriptures from the Bible and just made it easier to digest. So any type of learner would be able to benefit from the textbook that we had. What I learned in that class that surprised me the most was about sanctification. So when you first, I got saved when I was young, and I just thought that was kind of it. You get saved and you just kind of live your life after that, but that's just the beginning of your journey. And through this class, I really learned that whole process. So when I first got saved, I was upset because I felt like I was just going through a cycle, and I was like, I keep messing up, I keep, going through the same stuff. And after getting saved, you just think, oh, it's going to be great, and this is how my life's going to be, and that obviously isn't reality. And this class just helped me learn about sanctification, and that it's a whole process that you do throughout your life. So I think that was something that really helped me in my journey and my relationship with God. The class helped change the way I see God, that it's more of a relationship. It's not just following rules. It's really just digging in and spending time with God, however that looks. So reading the Bible is so important. God can take one scripture and it can mean something to you in this stage of life, and then you can read it years later and it can mean something completely different. So really digging in and just spending that time with God. I would take Saturday mornings and work on this class, and it would just be a couple of hours. And it wasn't just doing my assignments. I actually really grew in my relationship with God because I leaned into this class so much. One of the ways this class changed me was my confidence with my faith. I thought before, if I wasn't a perfect Christian, that people really wouldn't listen to me, or like I wouldn't be able to reach people as well. But through this class, it's kind of showed me that people relate to you in your struggle and like your humbleness and everything. So it gave me more confidence to share the gospel, especially with my family and people close to me. They always just knew I was like the Christian, and they just kind of let me go about my life. But now I have more confidence to share my experiences, and it's made a huge difference, especially in my relationship with like my sister, and I just feel more confident when she asks me questions. One of the ways this class impacted me personally when it comes to holiness is that holiness isn't something that we can achieve on our own. It's something that only God can give us, and it's something that we have to accept from Him. There's no good deeds or anything that we can do to achieve holiness. It's by the grace of God that He gives it to us. And so we just have to kind of come to that acceptance that here on earth there's absolutely nothing that we can do, and it's God gives it to us for free. And then it becomes our responsibility to keep pursuing that relationship with God and keep moving through our journey of sanctification. What I learned in this class now shows up in my work and relationships, because I am more confident in my relationship with God. I'm more confident praying with people and sharing my story. So beforehand, I was like, if somebody asked me to pray for them, I was really nervous because I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm going to say the right thing, but again, it's just, you have to rely on God that you're going to say what the other people need to hear. So now if somebody asks me to pray for them or asks for advice, I just say a quick prayer before and ask God to work through me and say what needs to be said and say what they need to hear. So then it kind of takes the pressure off me, and then I just know it's God working through me. So then they hear exactly what they're supposed to hear. The way KCC teaches theology stood out to me because it really was personal. It really worked on my relationship with God. And usually with a class through a school, you're just like, oh, I'm going to get through my assignments and, just kind of go through the motions. But this one really dug deeper, and the more you lean into this class, the more you're going to get out of it. So I would say with any class that you take at KCC, you need to lean in to those classes, especially, the religion classes and classes like Theology of Holiness, because you're going to get so much more out of it than just a grade. It'll help, hopefully change your life.